Hi, I'm Jo Phillips, otherwise known as JoOutLoud, and I'm welcoming Shelley Kundert. Kundert?
Hmm. Right.
Kundert tonight. That's the sort of thing you usually ask before you go live. Shelley, thanks for hanging out with me tonight.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. It's been really interesting with these interviews. I'm getting to know people who I've never spoken with before.
Hmm.
It's an interesting experience for me because I'm tend to be introverted, which means I'm not really great at small talk. Uh, so we kind of skip the small talk and just get deep into stuff right away. So with that, let's just get started. I've got your age in our random age generator, and I
Okay.
just hit generate. Let's see, what are we going to talk about? 27.
Oh, 27.
Going back in time.
Okay. What was happening when I was 27? Trying to
Hmm.
think, was that the year I got married? Could
Was
be.
it?
I think so. I'll have to do the math in my head really quick. Um, when was I born? 65. Oh, no, it was the year before I got married. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
What was going on that year?
yeah, where were you living
I
at
was in
27?
I was in Red Deer,
Okay.
and yeah, I was in Red Deer teaching. Um, things were, yeah, just busy. Teaching's busy, right? It just,
Where were you teaching?
I was at St. Pat's at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
And how long had you been teaching? Like not long if you were 27.
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just getting into it. Are you still a teacher?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
So you were teaching when you were 27.
Mhm.
Um, and you were living in Red Deer. Were you living on your own?
I know. Um, I can't tell you.
Okay, that's totally okay. That's the rules. You get to.
And kind of just blew apart. And so then I bought Honda Accord.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Brand new.
Yes, brand new.
Oh, was that your first new car?
Yeah, it was my first one. Yeah, the other ones were kind of junkers. So, yeah,
Yeah. Get through university, right?
pretty much.
Yeah.
I actually, no, actually, I didn't even have a car in university. Bought my first car when I graduated and started working. And then that one sort of bit the dust. So then I bought another one, and that one, the engine exploded. So then I thought, okay, let's get a good one.
I'm gonna invest.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
I did 1 year in Red Deer, and then I went to U of A.
Oh, U of A.
Yeah.
Beautiful campus.
Yeah. Love it there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of my favorites. It's just absolutely gorgeous there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at U of A with my daughter last year. She was on the board for a committee. And so I spent a lot of time in the education building just hanging out. And
Hmm.
on the walls were all the grad classes. So in your grad class, how many men were there in your grad class, do you figure, that you can recall?
Well, ones that I remember from my classes, three.
Yeah. It was so interesting to me to look and see how many like the difference in demographic. There was 3 to 5 in each picture of men, and yet the principals in every school was a guy. Like it was just
Yeah.
crazy. Like where are all the there's so many women that graduated. Why are all the principals guys?
Yeah.
So huge shift now though. Huge shift.
Oh, yeah. A lot more men are in the teaching profession for sure.
Hmm. How has the profession changed like from when you were 27 to today? Close, I assume like sort of close to retirement.
How has the profession changed? Or you mean like how has teaching changed?
Yeah, yeah. Like how has the experience changed? And how's the classroom changed? Like I imagine there's huge changes.
Lots of changes. Yeah, lots more. Kids come with a lot more um, heavy things on their hearts, I think, than they used to, or that we were aware of. There's a lot going on in a lot of little kids' lives, so there's a lot to deal with in the classroom, even just on a daily basis. I think there's kids do things a lot of different things than what they did 25 years ago, right? There's a lot more video games, there's Netflix, there's all those things. And so I mean, a lot of the students that I've taught over the last few years, I mean, they're still involved in a lot of activities outside of school. I think what I notice is kids don't really just play anymore, right? They don't just, for the most part, they don't just go outside and play. I mean, they play at recess and things, but and I mean, we've got kids on our street that are outside all the time, but I think a lot of kids don't just go outside and play and, you know, find something to do, right? When we were kids, I mean, we were outside for hours. And if
Yeah.
you said, well, what did you do for the last 6 hours? Well, I don't know. We just played, right? Like we just hung
Yeah.
out and played with our friends and, just did things, right? And I think it's
Yeah.
different that way with kids than now.
And our parents didn't expect to hang out with us when we were kids.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my mom did not hang out with me.
No,
Yeah.
no, mine didn't either. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was
I
busy
also
being a
didn't
mom.
have a lot of like I wasn't running all the time. It wasn't to this activity and this activity and this activity. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't over scheduled
Mhm.
or highly scheduled. Um, so I think that makes a difference too, that my generation of parents seem to believe that we need to have our kids in something all the time, or otherwise they're going to fall behind socially. Um, yeah, and then that lack of ability to play, which is such an important thing to hang on to as you become an adult.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, how do you find the joy if you've forgotten how to play, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how do you how do you keep up with the technology piece of things?
Uh, okay, well, if we're really honest, I don't. I got to tell you, I am not one. I don't enjoy technology. I mean, I use it in the classroom because I have to, and
Mhm.
I need to. I need to keep up, but I don't enjoy it, and it's a struggle for me. So yeah, it's a bit of a gong show sometimes, but you get through it.
Yeah. I remember one of my best friends she's a teacher, and we went to university in the early 90s. And she had to take an entire class on technology. And what it meant was learning how to thread film into the reels
Yeah,
and how to work an overhead projector. Like that was her technology class.
yeah,
And I just can't even imagine. I know, like, my day job, people believe is a lot about technology, but you ask me to set up a Google Meet, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to get somebody else to do that for me.
yeah,
I just can't imagine for you how daunting it must be.
yeah. You get, I mean, the more you use it, the easier it gets, right? But I have to tell you, I really miss that overhead projector. It was a lot easier than a dot camera or, putting things on the projector from the computer up on the screen and smart
Hmm.
boards. Oh man, smart boards, they were I mean, great in theory, but they just really didn't quite work the way we hoped they would, right? So,
Yeah, smart boards kind of freak me out. Like, as we speak in classrooms all the time, and they ask, "Hey, do you want to use a smart board?" And we're like, "Oh,
yeah,
maybe." Yeah,
no, not really.
yeah. If we don't have to. Um, what about has anything changed as far as the culture goes? So to frame this question, my mother-in-law was a teacher. She's 70 now, I believe. So she was taking a lot of her first steps in the 70s when if she had to keep pregnancy a secret because she would be forced to quit her job because you couldn't be pregnant and be a teacher. They marched in, she told me a story about marching in downtown in Saskatchewan with no pants on because they were required to wear skirts and couldn't wear pants to school. What's changed culturally for you from the day that you started versus today?
I think culturally, that's a hard question. I'm not really sure how to answer that. Um, I think honestly, they're a lot more open, right? As far as the LGBTQ,
Mm-hmm.
I can never remember the order. I
Yeah.
apologize to anybody. I certainly don't mean to offend anyone. I think they're a lot more open as far as that goes nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we have maternity leaves and those kinds of things, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, at least in our district, anyways, we have excellent benefits. We've got our maternity leave, so things are good as far as that goes.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. When you were 27, so obviously, like the question is, were you happy? You're still a teacher, so it must be your calling.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So did you really know that at 27? You're like, yeah, this is it.
Oh, I knew that when I was a kid.
Like
Yeah.
you've just always wanted to be a teacher.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, easy decision.
Yeah.
So when you pictured yourself in your mind, this is a weird question, but I think it's always a cool question. When you pictured yourself in your mind, or even now when you picture yourself at 27, what does that image look like? How do you picture yourself at 27?
I'm a little thinner, and that was the year before I got married. So I was busy. I was teaching a new grade that year. I was planning a wedding, and I had started my master's degree. So, and I mean, I was involved in things too. I played volleyball, I curled, I did lots of things. I swam, and I was very active. So, I mean, I pretty much went steady from, about 6 a.m. in the morning till probably 11 o'clock at night every day. And I loved it. That's my personality. That's who I am. And so it was all good. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds vibrant. Like it just
Yeah.
sounds, yeah. Like I just picture you. I don't know. Did you have long hair?
Uh, no, at that time it was short,
Oh,
but it's long now. You probably can't. This is my Monday hair when I realized, oh, I should have left for work about 10 minutes ago.
yeah. The reason I cut my hair off was because all I ever did with it was put it in a ponytail. So
Yeah, I'm at that point again too. I grew it out, and now I'm thinking it's time to maybe cut it off.
something new, right?
Yeah.
Who influenced you when you were 27?
Who influenced me? When I first came to Red Deer to teach, I taught with or worked with a couple of amazing ladies who we are still friends to this day, and they still influence me. They're so kind and compassionate and wise. So they've been really good mentors all through, when my kids were growing up, and with parenthood and those kinds of things. And one of them was a teacher, one was a librarian, and so have just learned a lot from them, both professionally and personally.
And they're still friends today.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah,
very good friends.
that's cool.
Yeah.
When you were 27, you were planning a wedding, you were taking your master's degree, which is like crazy cool. Um, so what was your biggest dream when you were 27? What did you think, like, if I can do this, then that's it. I'm good for the rest of my life.
At that point, I think I was just thinking I just wanted to be the best teacher I could be, do the best job that I could do. And at some point down the road, thinking, okay, having kids and hopefully being a good parent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now at 55, what would you say your biggest dream is?
Retirement. I love what I do, but I'm getting tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think about retirement, like what does that like
What does that
other
look
than
like
freedom?
other than freedom? Um, Sorry, I got some weird stuff going on my computer here, and it's really
Oh,
distracting me.
sure.
See if I can get there. We go. It's
Okay.
gone. Okay. I don't know what that was all about, but like I said, technology, right? Retirement, I do young living on the side, and I love it. It's a real passion of mine. It's helped a lot as health wise with different things for me, and so really, I just really want to take off with that, and
Hmm.
that that's kind of my passion when I retire. Hopefully,
Hmm.
spending some time where it's warm every day, and you know,
Yeah.
hopefully that will happen at some point.
So pretty different from obviously as it should be, 27 versus 55.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
I'm much more into sitting on the deck, in the morning with a coffee, and then maybe later in the day with something else, reading a
mhm.
good book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just slower.
Right.
Yeah. And deservedly so. Would you still do things that would impact people? Like I can't imagine that you would be able to give up that piece of influencing lives.
Um, yeah. I mean, I do some volunteering now, and so I would definitely continue with that. And I do have a pretty big dream if I could get far enough in my young living business. I have this dream of building a school.
Mm,
Yeah.
cool. What kind?
Well, a school in a developing country, or someplace in a poor country, where we could build
Hmm.
the school, staff the school, provide professional development, that sort of thing. I've been to Belize a couple of times with Rotary, doing
Okay.
professional development with teachers and administrators, and with their education board through their federal government.
Hmm.
And that was, I mean, that's probably the best PD I've ever done for myself. Never mind, hopefully it was good for them too, but that really was a phenomenal experience. And so I'd really like to do something like that. But,
Mm,
but me be um, more part of the whole design and implementation of it.
yeah. There's that's a big project. Big
Yeah,
but possible. Big but possible.
yeah.
Yeah. My dad left Canada 17 years ago to do that exact thing. He went to Malawi to build a home for abandoned kids, and out of that has built a school and all of that stuff. So
Wow.
it's possible,
Yeah.
big but possible.
Is he
Yeah,
still there?
he's actually stuck in Canada right now, which is yeah, he can't get back. They came over in December for Christmas, and then they stayed because they're seniors and need to keep their healthcare and all of that stuff. So they stayed a little while and then couldn't get back. So they're trying to get back now.
Right. Has that
Yeah,
been difficult for him?
tremendously difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, like tremendously difficult. They've got somebody who's they're running it right now, but her she was there from Britain, and her visa is expiring, so she has to go, and so somebody's got to get back there.
Right.
So yeah, it's not a simple thing.
No.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a big tangent, and my hair got really bad all of a sudden. I can't even. I'm just gonna give up. Um, you seem like you just have this really calm, peaceful energy about you. Like you're just very chill. when you were 27, would you say that you loved who you were at that time, or is that something that you've had to learn?
That would be something I've had to learn. Yeah.
And what would you, if there's somebody watching right now that has to learn, like what would you say? How would they start?
Honestly, I think most people, and me included, I mean, I did, we just do the best that we can every day, right? And as
Mhm.
long as we can look at our day and look at the lessons and look at the blessings, and then you just move on the next day and you do it all over again, right?
Yeah. Like just learning to forgive,
Mm-hmm.
like forgive your flaws, that everyone is flawed. It's okay. Yeah. Hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you're younger. I feel like as we get older, um, that we become more easy with that. And I don't know if having kids has a piece of that, because you're just a disaster every day for like good solid
20
time.
years or more.
There's nothing more humbling than having children.
Um,
But yeah. Um,
well, and I
can
think too, we just learn to let things go.
yes.
We really decide what's important, and what mountains we're willing to die on and which ones we're not, and you just got a lot of stuff go, right?
Well, I think that if you don't, that's where you really, I mean, you really become miserable if
Yeah.
you start hanging on to every single thing. Um, like big on the big, right? And
Hmm.
yeah, it's definitely something that has to be learned though,
Yeah, it
and
does. And practiced as well.
practiced.
Yeah.
And our definition of what's big changes as well. What's a big
Hmm.
deal, right?
Yeah.
Um, and that usually comes with a life crisis. We're like, okay, so nobody died today.
Yeah.
Can you think of a situation when you were 27 or in that age range, where you were actually the bad guy, where you required forgiveness, um, that that you wish you could go back and fix or change or learn something from?
That year's kind of a blur. It was
Hmm.
pretty busy. I think probably just any time I had a disagreement with my soon to be husband, right?
Hmm.
That's probably the biggest thing. Yeah.
And so, did you have to learn a different way of communicating? Was that something that you had to work on, or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, all marriages, you need to figure out how to communicate with each other, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And that's not an easy thing to do.
No,
It's really, really not easy.
especially when one of you is a little stubborn, right? And
Are
yeah,
you the stubborn one?
yeah, I'm going to not comment. Yeah, I am.
I'm hands down the more stubborn one. I'm like if you challenge me like to wait something out or like no problem, I'll sit back and wait. Like it's just not good, not good. Working on it though,
Yeah.
because it does occasionally cause problems too. Let's go to you're taking your master's. Were you commuting to do that, or were you doing was online available back then?
No, we teach actually a teacher from another school district, and we were in the same program,
Mhm.
which was great. So we drove up to Edmonton once a week, and we just took turns driving. Yeah, so we
And
we would drive up. I think usually was a Tuesday night, sometimes Wednesday, and so as soon as the bell went, we hightailed it out of school. We went up to Edmonton. We did our class, and we came back. Yeah,
and so how hard was that? Like that a lot of coursework to get that done?
yeah, lots of coursework, and even the drive, because you've got to. I mean, we had to be planned for. I mean, we had to have everything ready to go for a couple days ahead of time. I mean, you kind of do that anyways, but there's always last minute things you do and marking and that sort of thing. And
Mhm.
so I know we had to be really, really organized. And kind of towards the end of my degree, I think I had a couple courses left. I actually took a sabbatical for 6 months and just finished it off because
Mm.
it was it was getting to be too much to do one course at a time. And I'd been doing that for, I'd done that for a couple of years, and I was like, okay, I just need to finish now. So that's what I did.
So how many years did it take to get it done?
uh Probably 2.5, I think. Yeah, because I also did spring courses,
Mm.
spring or summer. So I know one summer I did a couple of courses as well. We had 10 courses to do. So yeah.
So if you could go back, or if you were advising somebody today who's thinking about taking their master's, like imagining that you had the exact same life and they have the exact same life.
Hmm.
So they're just beginning their life with a spouse. They don't have kids yet. They've been working. They know that they love teaching. They're considering their master's. Would you say just go get it done? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would do it again. Absolutely.
Mhm.
I, I think you need to be really clear on what you're doing for your masters and where you see yourself, right? So at that time, literacy was my passion, still is. And so that's what I did my master's in. I actually went back in my 40s and did another master's in educational leadership because I was thinking that I wanted to go into administration. That kind of got derailed, which is another whole story, which we'll probably talk about here tonight still. But so I think, as long as they're really clear on their goals and what they want and where they want to be in 10 years, and absolutely before kids. I don't know how people do that with kids. I don't know how people teach full time and have kids. I didn't teach full time when my kids were younger, and I
Mhm.
don't know how full time teachers do it. I really don't. They're just rock stars.
Yeah, and tired probably. Like
Yeah.
when they talk about burnout, I think that's why I was surprised when you said that you had started teaching you young and you're still teaching. It's just so unusual. I feel like for somebody to have a lifelong career now in teaching because they are burning out really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So good advice. So you took when you did have kids, then so how did you do that?
How did I have kids?
No, no. I'm gonna have to put a rating on this on
Yeah.
YouTube. Now, how did you manage your career? How did you make those decisions as far as what you were going to do as a mom and a teacher?
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
So when my first one was born, I'm trying to think. So I took a whole year of mat leave. And my firstborn was born in July, so that actually worked out really well. I just worked to the end of the school year and took the following year off, and then went back just part time.
Hmm.
And then when I had my second one, took another year of mat leave, and then I had gone back part time, and then I was actually working at our board office part time for about a year and a half, and so my schedule was fairly flexible. I was able to not work the same days every week, and my husband worked shift work, so I was able to work around his schedule somewhat, so we didn't need childcare every day, that sort of thing. He could stay with the kids, and so that was great. But I found that I actually after that I stayed home for a couple of years with my kids. I was just really feeling like I needed to be at home with them, so I did stay
Hmm.
home for a couple of years, and then when my youngest went into kindergarten, then I went back to work.
Mm.
and that was part-time too. So it's been part-time. Actually, this is the first year I've worked full-time since I had kids. So,
You chose this year to be the year you work full time.
well, it comes down to I was about 82% last year, and I've kind of been between 80 and 82% for a few years now. And I mean, you're working full-time anyways, and I finally just thought I'm working full-time anyways, I may as well get a full-time paycheck. So I just went back full-time. Yeah.
What a year to do that.
I know. I did not think that through.
No, you really, really didn't. Let's take the year that's going to be the most chaotic.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like 2 full-time jobs, not 1.
It's a little crazy. I'm going to be honest. It's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I know that I stand back and watch in admiration just for how adaptable teachers have been this year, how flexible, how they're like constantly figuring it out. Um, it's just oh, what a challenge.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are smart too. Like sometimes I'll just say, okay, you guys, like, we got to figure this out. Well, what do you think? Right. And I mean,
Mhm.
I have grade 2 this year, and they're pretty smart.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah. And I mean, kids are resilient, and I mean, they just, they kind of go with the flow. Something brand new, they might be a little bit, um, maybe a little bit anxious or a little bit on edge, but it's like, it's all good. We'll just make it work. Let's
Yep.
just make it work. How do we make this work? Right. And they just do it. So
Yep.
they're great. Yeah.
It becomes normal really fast for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, I think a lot of this has become normal for all of us quite quickly, which is like just again a lesson in how adaptable we can be if if we have to be.
Right.
Yeah, and yeah, no choice. You can't be stubborn about not being able to show up to school. Like
Yeah.
it's the way it's going to be. Um, so let's talk a little bit about so you have 1 master's degree and then you were taking another one, or you have 2 master's degrees?
I have two. I
Okay.
did finish the other one. Yeah.
Okay. And that the second one was for leadership because you intended on going into administration,
Mhm.
but you're not in administration.
No.
So what changed there?
I I ended up getting a concussion,
Oh,
and it completely derailed my whole life. So, which is weird.
wow.
Usually you get a concussion, and you're okay in a little while, and
Yeah.
that just didn't happen for me. My symptoms kept getting worse instead of better.
Wow.
Uh, so it's been actually quite a battle for the last 6 years. I've been on and off work,
Mm-hmm.
and I've done lots of different kinds of therapies for my head and that sort of thing, and went back to work last year, and for the first time, like I had been off for a couple of years, so went back last year, and that was good, and so yeah, so here I am. Now I'm working full time. Yeah.
You're doing it wrong, Shelley.
I
You're like,
know.
ah, what ups.
Yeah.
Um,
You know,
so, so, um, so you're working through, like, there's so many pieces to concussion. Like that do you have you had to do brain therapy, like work on um, retooling your brain, stuff like that, or is it more like physical that you have to work on?
you know what? Over the years, I've pretty much done everything. Did lots of brain work and things with eye movements and those sorts of things,
Hmm.
because that was really affected. My balance was really off,
Hmm.
so I had to do a lot of different balance stuff. Did lots of physio. Just yeah, pretty much anything that if you went and did a search on the internet about concussion treatments, I've pretty much done all of them. So yeah.
And are you moving toward recovery, or is this going to be something that is likely like a long-term thing for you?
Um, Things were pretty much back to normal.
Mhm.
This year, I've had a little bit of a setback. I do have post-concussion migraines now, which, I mean,
Oh.
I never had migraines before.
Mhm.
Um, so that's been an issue. So I'm actually back doing some functional neurology in town here with a guy, and so yeah, we're just trying to get a few things figured out, see if we can get the headaches under control. So actually doing an elimination diet right now, which has been a little painful because you can't eat Halloween candy
Oh,
on an elimination diet. So again, timing not great. I pretty much cut everything out. So I can eat fruits and vegetables and meat and some rice. That's about it.
are you going to be at the point of gradually adding things back in by Christmas time that you can add in like a pie?
Yeah. So it's 4 weeks, and I don't even know how long I've been doing this. I've been doing it for a couple. So I've got a couple more weeks,
Yeah.
and then we're going to look at adding some things back in just to kind of see.
One of those, it's 4 weeks and it's been 70 years so far.
Feels like it. No coffee.
Oh,
I was a little cranky last week, so I actually had a cup and I fessed up. I said, "Look it, I had to have coffee. I was so miserable. That was the only thing that was going to make me happy, and my
yeah.
mental health is more important."
You just get to a point though with your when you have a chronic situation, you just get to a point where you're just like, I think it takes a lot of us a while to get to that point, but to just be willing to do the most extreme things, like, okay, fine, I will do an elimination diet. I'll give up coffee. Like it doesn't, like when I say it out loud, it doesn't sound extreme, but when you're actually living it, it's a very hard thing to do, to like restrict yourself to that degree, right? But
Well,
to be so invested.
and you have to be so aware all day long. I mean, I'll open the pantry door and I'll go to grab something and I'll think, "Oh, this is not something that I can eat right now," right? And I
Mhm.
mean that first week, I ate things a couple of times, and as soon as I was done, I'm like, I don't think that was on the list. Oops, right? So
Yeah.
it's just forming some new habits and things, and it's just always being conscious of it and being aware of it, I think.
Hmm.
And that gets a little bit tiring because there's so many other things that you have to pay attention to right now too, right? I mean, everybody's probably feeling like that because things are just so crazy right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's actually very true. Were you teaching when the school shut down back in March?
Yeah.
And so you where are you teaching now?
I'm at St. Teresa
St.
this year.
Teresa?
I was at Holy Family last year.
Okay. So were they on break when the school shut down?
No, we weren't on break. I think maybe the public system was on break. We had a week and then we were on break. So we had that 1 week to kind of get organized.
Mm-hmm.
And then after spring break, then we went online. So really our kids had 2 full weeks off
Mm-hmm.
before we started our online learning. Yeah.
And what grade were you teaching last year?
5.
Grade 5. So what like I know what it was like for business, where we made plans in the morning and then by the afternoon you had to make a completely different plan. And I know it was like that for you guys as well during those first 2 weeks. Um, at what point did you um, at what point did you as a team or as a group just kind of go like, okay, it just is what it is? Like, did you try to really control how it was going to be executed or how you were going to do this at first and then just kind of slide into a let's just get it done?
Well, we had some guidelines from admin, right, and
Mm-hmm.
from board office, so we kind of knew what we had to do. I
Mm-hmm.
think just getting it, and I mean, again, technology, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't. I mean, I'd used Google Classroom a couple of times, but I wasn't proficient with it or anything. So it was a huge learning curve for me first whole month online. I mean, just trying to figure everything out. And my grade team was awesome. I mean,
Mm.
we, we met every day after
Mm-hmm.
we were done teaching, or sometime during the day, or we were texting. Right? Okay, I don't know how to do this. How do I do this? Show me this. Right? And so we did
Mm-hmm.
lots of debriefings almost every day. Just okay, how did your kids do today?
Mm.
How do we fix this? Those kinds of things. So, because the kids really, really struggled. It was really hard for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them.
So much like I feel like for the kids, versus us as adults, it was coming at them from all sides. And we were the ones that actually had some control over our experience.
Yeah.
And they just like a wall went down, their life stopped. And
Yeah.
we still went to the grocery store, even though it was every 2 weeks to fight over toilet paper. But but they just everything just stopped, and they were at home, and their parents were frustrated because they didn't know how to use Google
Mhm.
Meets, and everyone's worried about their jobs, and like there's just so much chaos for kids, and then they don't have any control over any part of the experience. How did you like, were there kids, were you worried about them at the end of the day?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And how did you find a way around that?
We talked about, so we did a class meet every morning, and I mean, sometimes we just talked, and usually I told them, I kind of explained what they were going to do that day for their work. And
Mm-hmm.
then I would also book one on one meets with the kids. So if they were having trouble with an assignment, they could ask me about that. Or if I just felt like I really needed to check in with somebody, then I would just say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to meet with me today, sign up for a slot. And so then we would do that. Yeah.
Yeah. It just must be so hard because your heart is so invested in it.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see them, but
Yeah.
yeah, you can't fix it for them. And then this year is, well, geez, going from grade five to grade twos, uh, because then literacy is a little more involved in the grade twos,
Mhm.
as a challenge, right? How did you adapt to that this year? Were there more tools available once September came to work with the younger kids?
Well, I mean, the school has excellent resources, first of all. So, I mean, that part was pretty easy, and that's my jam. Literacy is my jam, and teaching kids to read, and that kind of thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm right back in my element. I was a support teacher for a number of years, a literacy support teacher. And so I often went into classrooms or pulled kids out and worked on reading. So for me to be back into grade two, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
awesome. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is your Young Living career.
Mhm.
So how long have you been doing Young Living?
I've been as a business for about 2.5 or 3 years. I've been using the product for probably 4.5 years. And when I started, I mean, I was one of those, don't talk to me about the business. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things where once you start using the products, and I mean, it just made such a huge difference in my health.
Mm-hmm.
Just cutting out a lot of my chemical cleaners and using the Thieves cleaner, huge difference with my migraines. I felt way better, and so I just thought, yeah, I think I need to share this, and I, need to help others as much as I can with their
Mm-hmm.
health, right? I'm not a doctor, and I mean, we're required to say that anyways, but I mean, I can't fix somebody's health problem, but I mean, if you can use a different product and you feel a little bit better, then, why
Mm-hmm.
not, right?
Well, and there's been so much evidence, like scientific evidence, around scent and around simple things like that, even the impact of chemicals on our body that we all just kind of ignore, especially right now when we're just lathering in sanitizer. And
Mhm.
um, so I I know that the hand sanitizer or the version, Young Living version of it, what is in it? Is that the Thieves sanitizer?
Yeah, it's Thieves hand sanitizer. Yeah, and it's 65% alcohol, and it is approved by Health Canada. Yeah,
And
and
you
it doesn't.
guys can't keep it in stock though.
It's in stock right now.
Oh, is it right now? So if
Yes,
like
yeah.
go now.
If yes, so for if anybody's been, they're on their last few drops and they're trying to use it sparingly, now would be a really good time to restock for sure.
Yeah. I just know everyone who uses it has such a hard time getting more right now. It comes into stock and then boom, it's gone again.
Yeah.
Just yeah, very, very popular. I didn't know that you could use it for cleaning.
Well, there's a Thieves cleaner. So
Mm,
they have a whole Thieves line they've got. Uh,
gotcha.
uh, Household cleaner, laundry soap, dish soap, fruit and veggie cleaner. Yeah, they've got all kinds of toothpaste. Yeah.
Gotcha. So if you were gonna list a top three oils, what's the top three? Top three you should have
Top
if you were
three:
recommending.
Thieves essential oil, um, stress away your peace and calming, just because, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of that which shall not be named. And third one, I would say lemon. I
Oh,
think.
really?
Hmm.
And why the
Yeah.
lemon? Like, is that
Uh,
like,
it's good for gut health.
okay?
It cleans anything, and you can use it instead of Goo Gone, and
Wow.
so it gets all the sticky gunk off
Hmm.
without chemicals. So
So with gut health, then you put a couple drops in your water, sort of.
yeah, just one drop, throw it
Mm,
in the water and drink
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. All right. So when you lean into that Young Living part of things, then we'll see you talking about it all over social media.
I was, and then COVID hit, and you know, chaos reigned, and
Yep.
I've actually, just being at a new school and being in a new grade, I've had to take a bit of a step back from my Young
Hmm.
Living. I mean, I'm still posting in my private group and that sort of thing, but I haven't really done a lot of business things that I would normally do. I think things are starting to settle down at work, kind of in a groove now. So I'm hoping, by about the end of November to get back into more of that. And I'm actually in there's an online uh, health and wellness expo. It's Path to Wellness Expo. Um,
Okay. Oops.
It's in November, and off the top of my head, I can't even remember the dates. It's on Facebook though, so if people just search Path to Wellness
Okay.
Expo on Facebook, the event will come up, and it's free. But there are lots of different speakers and things, and I'm on there, and I'm just talking about how chemicals affect your body at a cellular level.
Mm. Wow. Cool. So that's Path to Wellness.
Mhm.
Path to Wellness Healthy Living Expo, and it's online, and there are a bunch of speakers, and you're one of them.
I'm one of them,
All
right?
right. Is there anything that you want to add that we haven't chatted about?
Today, I think, just with everything that's going on, probably the biggest thing is just gratitude, right? It's so easy to get sucked into that big dark hole.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so easy to just be, and I mean, if you ask my husband, I don't know if he's listening to me right now or not behind the door, but he's probably laughing, thinking, yeah, right. Um, but it's so easy to get sucked into that dark hole, and you just really have to, like I said before, you got to let those things go and just really think about. And some days it's hard. I mean, I go to bed, and every night I lay in bed and I think, okay, what am I grateful for today? And
Mm-hmm.
some days, if it's been a really bad day, it's hard to come up with more than one or two things, and I make myself come up with at least five, and sometimes it takes a few minutes. I mean,
Mm.
it might just be that I am thankful this day is over, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
know, I have a comfortable bed, I have a roof over my head, I I had lunch today and I had a good lunch, and you know, little Johnny didn't cry at school today, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
sometimes
Sometimes
that.
it's the simplest things. Yeah. Um, one thing that I tell my kids all the time is the best thing about a bad day is it ends as soon as you go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so, which my teenagers have taken to mean go to bed at 3:30 if you had a bad day at school. But I'm just going to go to
Hey,
sleep and then start again tomorrow.
hey, there's been some nights I've been in bed by 7. I mean, that's just the way it goes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Start again.
I don't have little kids at home, so I can do that. I mean, I really feel for the people who do have kids at home, and they can't do that, right? Although they could snuggle on the couch and things for sure. And
Right.
they've done lots of research too about gratitude and the effect that it has on the brain and how it can actually change your brain. So it's really, really important
Hmm.
to remember those things.
It really helps you reframe for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. In those darkest times for like just find the simplest things and then realize how lucky we are to even have those things that we think are simple and for other people are just something they're not going to have today. So, yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Well, thank
Uh,
you, Jill. This has been great.
yeah,
Really
it's
enjoyed
like
this.
so interesting.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you joining me. Maybe we'll do this like in exactly a year, and I'll be like, so, how's retirement going?
If I'm retired, we'll
Yeah, we'll
see.
see how that works out, right?
Yeah.
Who knows what a year is going to look like from
Yeah.
right?
That's not the plan anytime soon, but you never know. Depends how the rest of this year goes, right? And
Might just be the way it goes. And we'll start a petition to bring overhead projectors back to the classroom.
there we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. All right.
Good.
Thanks again, Shelley. I
Thank
appreciate
you
you.
so much.